Next up, Russ and I are going to review the Rocky film series and give our thoughts on the Rocky 4K Knockout Collection. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Matt.
I am Russ.
And we are your 4K Kings, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Rocky 4K Knockout Collection and giving our thoughts on the film series as a whole.
I'm so excited that I'm starting to sweat.
Nothing knocks me out more than an incomplete film series with lackluster artwork, Matt.
You're just a jealous, lazy bum.
Come on, support us. Support Stallone. You gotta like this video. You gotta subscribe to us. You gotta leave us a comment. You gotta spam every website in existence with links to our videos. Yo, Adrian, we did it.
We're here today to talk about the Rocky Knockout Collection, which came out February 28th in 4K Ultra HD from Warner Brothers. You know, it's just the year of Warner Brothers. They're just putting out all their films in the best ways possible.
Screw you, creepo!
And this is arriving in a single case that's got all the films jammed in there, or individual steals, depending on, you know, what your taste level is here. You're coming with Rocky, Rocky II, Rocky III, and Rocky IV. And in addition to that is the Rocky IV Director's Cut, Rocky vs. Drago. You're not getting Rocky V, you're not getting Balboa until a later box set.
Personally, if it were me, I wouldn't mind postponing a couple weeks.
There's only a handful of new features on here, which are mainly centered around the Rocky IV Director's Cut, as well as all the films getting 4K restorations and Dolby Vision upgrades. Are the upgrades any good? We'll find out shortly and discuss that in a moment. So let's jump right in with the original in the series. The first Rocky is, of course, from 1976, directed by John G. Avildsen and also written by Stallone himself. Avildsen, who I didn't really know at all until later in life when I became a fan of Karate Kid, Lean on Me, later found out that he did Rocky.
I didn't know he did Lean on Me.
Like that movie Joe, I've never seen, and there's a movie that he did called Save the Tiger, which I guess won a bunch of awards that had Jack Lemmon in it. I've never seen either of those, which is what propelled him and gave him the opportunity to direct this. So Stallone wrote this script. Apparently he did it in 3 days. He insisted that he would be the star or else he wouldn't allow it to be made.
I knew that if I sold it, even for $500,000, I knew that after the money was gone, I would become very bitter for having sold out, because my one love was to at least fail on my own terms.
You have Talia Shire, you have Burgess Meredith, Burt Young, and of course, Carl Weathers.
Sounds like a damn monster movie.
And also, because of, I guess, the low budget, a lot of the people that are like extras in this movie are all family of Sylvester Stallone. You know,
especially a guy singing on the street corner. I get that damn song in my head at least once a week.
It's a great song. But another big character, Philadelphia, of course, you know, we're in around this area. And then Bill Conti, great score. Iconic score. Elevates this film, I feel like. When you watch Rocky and that the title goes across and those horns are playing, it's like, holy shit, what am I about to watch? Like, you get pumped. And even, you know, Gonna Fly Now, like all of that is just so iconic. And you can't have, I feel like, this movie without that score. It just like really gels everything together. Universally praised, and it's been included in the National Registry for historically, aesthetically significant films.
Thank you.
So why is this movie great? For anyone that hasn't seen Rocky, if you're watching this right now and you know of it, but you haven't watched it and you're like, convince me.
Sports movies are great analogies for life, and Rocky probably does it better than any other sports movie in existence.
Eye of the tiger, man.
Sold.
Simple as that.
Sold. Great underdog story, which is what most sports movies are and what you want to root for most, like you said, in life. Good analogy for life is people that are the underdog you want to root for. You don't need to root for people that already have got everything and already have it made, and Rocky clearly did not. And it's also kind of cool that Sly himself was the underdog. You know, he's fighting against a system that's like, we're not going to let you make this movie, and they let him do it, and he succeeded. It's like both. It's like a parallel.
It's not about the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
what I always took from it. It's about you do your best, you work your hardest, and even if you technically lose, you didn't fucking lose. Yeah. You won, dude. You won. And that to me is the metaphor for life. Even if you don't become rich or you don't become this, if you put the work in, you are that.
I have seen Rocky 1 recently. The scene where Rocky invites Adrian back to his apartment and, you know, he definitely does not take no for an answer several times. The way the scene's gonna play out, everything's gonna be fine. But dude, like he literally, like I feel like almost corners her in a way, like won't let her leave. And I'm like, okay, Rocky, like put your fucking arm out, bro. Like let her leave. Like,
and isn't he wearing the wife beater in that scene?
You don't want to kiss me back if you don't want.
You know what I mean? Like, I was kind of feeling like, come on, dude. Like, let's show a better example here.
If you try to run, I'm a sick butt kiss on you.
I'm not kidding. Like, I definitely felt a little uncomfortable in hindsight.
If you take your date out to a closed hockey rink to run around for 5 minutes,
promises need to be kept.
you better get laid that
Promises
night.
made, promises kept.
Through today's lens, it is... I know exactly what you mean about that scene.
And because of that, he won the Academy Award.
Because of that.
But this movie did spawn the rest, created the franchise that slowly, went downhill over time. But let's jump into Rocky II, which I have not seen in a very long time. 1979, originally titled Rocky II Redemption, written and directed by Stallone. John G. Avildsen moved on to direct Saturday Night Fever, which he ended up leaving. So then Stallone raised his hand like, I'll do it. But once again, the studio was kind of reluctant to let him do really anything.
Stings after a while,
Again, basically said, look, you're going to let me direct this or there's no movie. So they, once again, let him just have his way. And because the first Rocky was a success, they were like, okay, let's give him a chance. So again, it stars him and basically everyone's back again. However, there was a couple of like weird things. I think like Talia Shire was in another movie at the same time. So she couldn't be there on set for a lot of it, which is why she's like in the apartment at the end during the final fight. There's like a pivotal moment where at the end, Rocky decides to switch fighting hands, and that's like some big like thing because Apollo's used to him being a southpaw. But I guess during the movie he hurt himself and he had to switch hands because they put it into the script.
And that's what I call class, huh?
It was not as universally praised as the first one. They called it a retread. They called it waxy. They said the plot tends to drag. And they also said that it has an ugly mood.
It does,
which,
kind of.
Yeah, and I feel like I do remember that John G. Avildsen touch, really kind of makes the first Rocky what it is despite the script, whereas Stallone, this is his version of, like you said, Rocky 1.
Listen, it's the cockiness. You know what's hilarious to me about part 2? The character's more intelligent.
Thank you.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, in the first one, he's
part
definitely
two,
not.
Part 2 is the whole, like, basically he's selling out and he has this dilemma of being too rich and not in touch with his roots and all that. There are parts in 2 where he is speaking way too eloquently for my tastes. I'm serious. It's like, how did this guy get the shit beat out of him in the first movie and got smarter?
Well, you're a rude guy. I'm trying very hard and you're being rude. That's bad manners, ain't it, Adrian?
Yes.
He is a genuine artist. He will not give up the commercial side of filmmaking. Like he just, that is ingrained in him, and it oddly became part of his artistry. It's strange. Like he's such a nope, my movie. This is art. This is special. But then he'll turn around and do this shit with it.
It reminded me of a soap opera. This first,
oh yeah,
it's like soap opera. Like the look of it, everything about it, right?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
Well, this movie cost $6 million more to make than the first one, and it returned way less. It was still a success by most terms. And it allowed Rocky III to then be made, which came out in 1982. I have never seen 3, so I'm going to need you to fill me on the blanks on 3. Again, written and directed by Stallone, starring the same cast, but there's a new villain, Clubber Lang, which is Mr. T, his breakout role. I guess he was chosen after someone saw him win some reality show called America's Best Bouncer, and they were like, who is this guy with all this charisma? And he kind of like has kind of got the body we're looking for, or whatever. What I liked as far as the reviews, and again, I got to laugh because I've never seen it, but the reviews say, other than the fact that they were mixed, first one universally praised, the second one starting to show its cracks a little bit. This one is now like reviews are mixed across the board, but there's a lot of people that just called it unnecessary.
2 is unnecessary.
I know what you're feeling. Let it go.
3 goes off the rails. Not as life-affirming as the first one, which, to be fair, the first one is a classic for those reasons and one of the greatest examples of that style. Yeah. So it was going to fail regardless.
Yeah, what you like about Rocky, his personal character traits are not there anymore.
Yes, that's definitely true. But 3 at least makes you laugh.
Right.
Even if you've never seen Rocky 3, you've seen the gif of him and Apollo running on the beach and embracing each other.
Love that.
I love it too.
Is Hulk Hogan's performance unnecessary?
I'm not sure.
Now, it did give us Eye of the Tiger.
I was just about to say, it gave us Eye of the Tiger, premiered in this film, but you know what's still on the soundtrack as of 3?
Do 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 do.
Said to take me back.
Frank Stallone's song is still on the Rocky III soundtrack. We need to keep the checks flowing for Frank Stallone. We need to throw him a bone. Diminishing returns, nothing new about Rocky's character. His tender side is all but gone, is what a lot of the critics said about this film.
Stallone was feeling himself.
It looked like a disaster. I know that dies in this one? Or was it just used as like something to like propel this character? Was it just like, let's just, because we got nothing left, like let's add some drama by killing off?
It's actually a really hard question to answer because that's kind of Stallone's thing.
Now that's the way I see it.
To kill someone off for character. He did it in 4.
That's true.
He
continues to do it.
He did it in Balboa. It's that soap opera feel. What are you going to do? You are going to kill somebody off like that. Like, that's Stallone. That's Stallone. What I'm saying.
3 still did well, which then led to Rocky IV. 3 years later, in 1985, written and directed by Stallone. And this was the last time he directed anything until 2006's Balboa. That's when he came back to direct something again. Starring again, the same cast, but with a new villain. Ivan Drago is the new person here that he's got to go up against. And this film received mixed to negative reviews. So now we're getting into negative territory where people are turning against the series and turning against Rocky completely. Predictable screenplay. It's propaganda for the U.S. Negative portrayal of Russians. It is, despite the reviews though, Russ, the highest grossing of the entire franchise.
Doesn't surprise, because it's propaganda. And
Americans love that shit.
And everything I just said about 3 is there, and 4 is goofy as fuck. Now, I have watched 4 in recent years, not that new cut. I was actually very intrigued by that new cut because 4 feels like it was edited to shit. Out of all the Rocky movies, 4 feels like one big montage. And I know these films are notorious for featuring montages. I'm talking about the damn movie itself feels like a montage.
Star filters, smoke, backlit. It was a very 80s film, very MTV-ish, a lot of montage, whereas the other Rockies, there were more things played out.
Well, I do know as a kid, I watched this one the most. And I, having seen
it feels like a video game or something.
Kind of, yeah. And I guess going back and looking at the other ones, it has very similar story beats as all the rest. It's kind of like the same movie, just with new window dressing. It just feels like there's not a lot of substance there other than making a montage. As a kid, from that perspective, like you said, because it's like a video game, it's easy to like that one.
Of course.
But when you get older and you start to appreciate other things about movies and cinema, then you can kind of see what this movie really is on its face.
Every positive thing I said about the original Rocky, I wouldn't have been able to say that when I watched it at 7, 8 years old or whatever. I didn't, maybe subconsciously it was coming through, but I couldn't have told you that. I didn't miss a beat on 4 at 9 years old.
And let's talk about the director's cut for a second. So this was announced in 2020, and up until that point, I don't know what people knew existed or didn't exist, but apparently 38 minutes of unreleased footage, whether it was new entirely or just alternative takes, were added in. Original scenes were also some removed, some were diminished or trimmed. And what's also crazy to me, which I didn't realize, is the first Rocky's like 2 hours, the second one's 2 hours and 2 minutes or something. This one's 90 minutes long. Dude, it's quick. The theatrical version is 91 minutes. The director's cut is 93. So although there's 2 more minutes, it's basically like a reworked movie entirely. They took stuff out. They added new stuff in.
That's why I was intrigued by it.
It's a whole new experience, I think.
And as someone who has been overly critical on it, I don't even care about the nationalistic aspect. I can look past that because I'm somebody who, even if I disagree with it, that's an interesting time capsule. It just feels empty. It feels like there were so many character moments that were probably gone to maybe give more context or maybe have some emotion on display.
These characters have not really been fleshed out.
Well, here's what the critics said about the director's cut. So better fight choreography and sound effects, more dramatic tone and character development, focusing on the Apollo-Rocky relationship. They say that it subdues the 4's worst indulgences. They still say the plot's over the top. You know what they get rid of completely? The robot.
What do you think there? Very good, huh?
I'm going to make my own edit of the director's cut and restore the robot.
And I'll tell you why. Because I'm sentimental.
But in regards to the first 4, obviously they're not perfect. They're part of movie history. As far as this 4K collection is concerned, will it leave its mark on physical media history?
Yeah, we need the money.
I gotta say, it's not good news for the fans. The general consensus is that while the remastered 4Ks are great to look at, everything else about the package falls flat to the point where there's even a claim that this entire thing should be recalled.
That's right, it stinks!
I think if that doesn't just put the cherry on top of a lot of things we've already said about this release, including how it seemed like a rush job, there's already other films that are going to be put in this later. It seems like a blatant cash grab.
Yeah, we need the money.
The biggest point of contention here, which I know we obviously want to make sure that the restorations look good, but you also need to be able to watch these fucking movies. So this is where problems start to arise. It starts with the audio issues, which again, from what I've read, could or should warrant a complete disc recall. The original Rocky seems like to fare the best, thankfully. However, They tout that you're getting the original master mono mix. Turns out that it's not genuine, that it's a folded down stereo track into mono. So you're not getting what they're advertising.
You're not kidding.
I ain't kidding.
But it gets worse, much worse, Russ. Rocky 2, every single sound mix and every single dub are pitched about 4 to 5% too low.
The dream stinks!
So if you thought Sylvester Stallone sounded low and slow before, imagine him 5% pitched down even more. But the fact that that disc is broken essentially and it's included in here, people are like, give me my money back or send me something else different. Give me a new disc, like whatever. You going on to Rocky 3, the English mixes are fine, but all the foreign stuff, all the dubs that you might be listening to if you bought this from overseas and you're getting it imported in whatever country you're in, those are also pitched down low. Let's talk about the extras. Almost entirely ported over from the Heavyweight Collection, except for a feature-length 3-part documentary. There was also some interviews. There was also some tributes to the cinematographer from the first one. There was some, just different things not included here. There's a new extra on here, Russ, that we talked about. This entire documentary is available on YouTube right now. Like, you don't have to own this to watch that. If you want to go watch it on YouTube, you can. However, it's 30 minutes shorter on this release than it is on YouTube. So you're not even getting the full documentary. Like, why?
Stallone really hates Creed 3. And he's going out of his way to sabotage this entire series.
Do you feel like I can never watch Creed 3 kind of thing?
Never.
It clearly, now that we know the whole picture, just seems like a cash grab to promote Creed 3. Regardless of the fact of what Stallone wants or doesn't want to do with that movie, Creed 3 is coming out. Get this out there in the most rushed ass way possible. And I think it sucks.
To me, this is silly. Even if you are somebody who adores this series and disagree with our takes on 2, 3, and 4, chances are, if you love 2, 3, and 4, you probably like 5 as well.
Yeah.
And you have to like Balboa because it's better than all the other sequels by a mile.
Yep.
Why buy this set?
I'm not sure.
So there's your 4K Kings endorsement. For everyone that is interested in this set, wait for Balboa, apparently. That's the best sequel out of them all. Thank you, everybody, for checking this out. Thanks for sharing this with a friend if you have the opportunity to. Thanks for throwing us a like. Thanks for being you. Thanks for supporting physical media and Rocky. Come back and see us again.
Both of you get out of my house!
Take it back. Do-do-do-do. Take it back. Do-do-do. I said I've been told.